Right. Hello, everyone. I'm very excited today to interview Tina Abert. Now, I want to give a brief bio and then talk a little bit about Tina, and then we're going to dive right into what it's like to be a tech host. So, with over 25 years of business and management experience, Tina Abert is passionate about helping individuals and organizations design and host more effective and engaging meetings. A certified virtual facilitator, Tina supports clients to get the most out of their online meetings through design sessions and live tech hosting. She has supported gatherings ranging from virtual memorial services to online trainings and presentations to multi day online conferences with international participants. Tina has studied facilitation and lettering in the US, Canada, and Europe. Her training in the art of hosting model has influenced her interdisciplinary and person centered approach. Now, Tina and I have known each other since what, 2017?
I think so. I think that was it at a conference we met. Yeah.
Okay, and then you signed up for my first online lettering course, Level Up Your Lettering.
And life changed immediately. And I've been hooked ever since. I'm sort of the enthusiastic stalker of Heather, whether it's Let's Letter Together, her lettering book, and Tech Host Academy. I have been a super groupie
That's
since
right.
2017 and we met. I was just like, this is my teacher. We have like a great
Oh,
rapport. And Heather has such a great teaching style.
and now great friends, right? So you helped me
Yes.
deliver the second European lettering tour in Europe in 2020, and then the pandemic hit. We spent
Oh,
hours discussing how we can help less tech savvy communities get online to connect and do their important work. So let me ask you, can you tell me what it was like for you to tech host early on and why you were so compelled to hold so many hands?
absolutely. Well, we all know the pandemic was a stressful and scary time when it first started. We didn't know what was going on, how to communicate. A lot of us were in lockdown. Thankfully, this is where I give a shout out to Heather and Let's Let Her Together because her online class was offered over Zoom. So I was familiar with Zoom and how it worked, and I felt somewhat comfortable about that. So I felt, okay, I can step in and help some folks kind of skill up to be able to have meetings. People were feeling overwhelmed, stressed out. They didn't know what to do. I would often practice with family and friends, getting online, getting them familiar with Zoom, and that helped me build some skills to hold some other hands with others across the country. Connection and community, I think, was my main driver. I know myself personally. My mother is older and doesn't connect unless she's in person. So that was a new and scary area for her.
Yeah.
Calligraphy guilds, knitting guilds, quilting guilds, all of these groups of oftentimes older folks who might not have confident computer skills. Suddenly they were disconnected. They couldn't leave their house. They couldn't gather together. There was feelings of isolation and aloneness, so I just was compelled to be helpful and to try to give some people some basic skills to get online and feel confident. And for some, that became very liberating. They could not only take a class online, but now they could call their grandkids and
Yeah.
Zoom and have a little, it was just sort of helping people get the toe in the water and feel comfortable and practice with it. Really has been rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've done such a wonderful job of holding hands, and that's about you, right? So that's a personal thing that you bring, Tina, is you just love helping people. But I'm curious, how did being a visual practitioner and or virtual facilitator help you in that process as well?
There are a lot of overlap skills. And early in the bio, you mentioned the art of hosting, which
Mhm.
is an open source format for how to hold conversations across difference and how to harvest. So being like a deep listener is really key. It can really help you understand the more subtle tones happening in a meeting. And it's also important for me anyway, and I think a lot of tech hosts, to really prepare in advance. We really learn that it takes a lot of scheduling ahead of times, but also how to craft the meeting, how to manage space, how to
Mhm.
manage energy, who's in the room? Do they have agency? Why are they going to be there? Who
Mm-hmm.
should be in this conversation? And how do we really invite them to show up in a way that they feel confident and that they're going to be heard and the meeting will be engaging? So I think a lot of facilitation skills, art of hosting skills, deep listening, listening for those nuggets of knowledge
Mm-hmm.
have really been helpful. And it might be in like distilling the takeaways, supporting, maybe I'm leading the meeting, maybe I'm supporting a leader.
Mm-hmm.
It's really helpful to keep people on the same page, articulate our purpose. Why are we here? What is it we want to do together? How do we know if we've been successful? How might we measure it?
Mm-hmm.
And just all of those facilitation skills about like, oh, I see someone's like eyes are drooping a little. Maybe we need an energizer. Maybe we need a break. Are
Mm-hmm.
we on time managing the agenda? So it really is a complementary set of skills that I have found to be really valuable when tech hosting. It's not necessary for every event, but in a lot of situations, it's really a great skill set to support maybe the person who's hosting the meeting or to offer some feedback and other tips.
Absolutely. Well, you bring a lot to the table when it comes to tech hosting, but it's not necessary for tech hosts to be facilitators, is it?
Right. Oh, absolutely not. There's, I think of your classic Venn diagram. There's overlap on some of those skills that I think you can be a tech host. You can be the person in the, headset behind the scenes that's quietly multitasking and making sure things run smoothly. And there are occasions where not only are you the tech host and managing the
Mm-hmm.
time and the chat, but you're also helping guide the energy in the room, keeping folks on task, being aware of energy and needs. So there's, I think, a place for both. If you don't want to have that front of the room facilitator role,
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. There's a lot of tech hosting
Mm-hmm.
skills that can really support a meeting. And so it's a both and. I think it's a wonderful complement to each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. Well, we have facilitators who come to Tech Host Academy because they want to learn some more tech hosting skills. And then we have people who want just better online environments. And so they want to become tech hosts. So we do talk about how meetings work and what to expect in different kinds of meetings. And you know the four steps of learning. So I often say that we don't know what we don't know, right? But what would you say to those who believe they already know what they need to know to be a tech host or to run their own meetings? How can Tech Host Academy help them?
Well, it is the key reminder. We don't always know what's out there, right? There could be a new tip or trick, or you might not know how to turn on closed captions because you may not have ever had experience or a need to do that with recording nuances, things like that, the subtleties of scheduling a Zoom meeting. What are all those settings to
Mhm.
consider ahead of time? I think in today's world, throughout the pandemic, we've all skilled up and we've all become more confident for online meetings. And I think it's just sort of a human tendency to be like, oh, I've got this. I know this. That's great. And I think it's often hard to have that like beginner's mind of like, oh, I didn't know that. Sort of that curious learner of what else could you do? Or how are you using analog in your digital meetings? Or what's the latest headset that's great if you have tinnitus? There are all these subtleties and details that we're just not aware of. And Tech Host Academy, not only do we have Heather as a wonderful teacher, we have our classmates, and we have these wonderful opportunities to meet folks like Muddy and Brian and learn about what they're doing and how they're using those skills. I've done everything from Heather mentioned a memorial service. I've done several funerals online to I've led after school craft activities for elementary school kids.
Right.
And the tech host needs for those situations are very different. So I think we can have a nice standard of skill, but to really have the wider bandwidth and toolbox to really leverage that meeting to be high quality. I think it's really worth going through Tech Host Academy.
Thank you. I want to just thank you for that and also remind folks that not only do we teach facilitators tech hosting skills and tech hosts some a little bit of the facilitation side, just a little bit because it's a huge world, right? But we also I take participants through the process of identifying what their strengths and what their skill sets are. So you don't have to do memorials if that's not what you're interested in, but you can if you happen to be a deeply compassionate person and want to help people through that process. And so we I take you through those spaces so that we can identify what's your ideal client and how can I refer work to you, because I get lots of requests for tech hosting. I can't certainly do it all, so I send a lot of work to the participants in the course. So excellent. And I'm curious, just from your experience, now I know as tech hosts we don't all get to be in the room together except for when we're learning together oftentimes, but I'm curious, in what you've experienced for yourself and watching other tech hosts, what personality types or attributes would you say make a good tech host?
Well, I've seen a lot of different personality types throughout online meetings, and some people are very successful, other people struggle a bit, and I think it's a learning edge for all folks. I really think patience is a number one skill. There can be multiple fires going on behind the scenes, but to
Yeah.
be able to have that presence, to be, focused and manage things. Multitasking is a great skill to have. Folks who can really do multiple things at once,
Hmm.
staying calm, having a calm presence is really helpful. And I think it goes without saying, being organized. Heather knows I love a good list. Excel spreadsheets are my love language. It's all good, color coded, but being organized, knowing what time zones you're in, making
Oh
sure
my
everyone has
gosh.
the link, having
Yes.
all those details, and I think most importantly, I would say being a team player. Don't let ego get in the way. Maybe you're facilitating, maybe you're tech hosting, but we're in it to help everyone have a good experience, whether it's the leader of the event, the
Hmm.
participant, or the folks who might watch the video later. It's like really come at it with a team spirit attitude and
Right.
doing your personal best. I think those are all great skills to have.
Yes, absolutely. And what I love is that you don't have to be an introvert to be a tech host, but if you are, it is a great way to be in the room and be supportive. I think it also have to be service minded, right? You have, like you said, team player. And when you started describing that, I was envisioning a like a stage manager, right? They know all the working pieces, they know what needs to happen next. You have to have this sense of being anticipatory, right? Knowing what's going to happen next. So yeah,
Exactly. And I love the stage manager comparison because that's really what you're doing. You're queuing different things, you're keeping track of multiple things at the same time. So it
mhm.
really is important to be organized and multitask and not get easily overwhelmed. And that's always easy to say because sometimes I might freak out like something's not working. But how can you get enough practice and experience where you're like, you have a protocol on how to handle those things?
Absolutely. And for those who I love it whenever people say things about multitasking, I always get someone in the crowd saying, multitasking isn't a thing. It's not possible. And it's like, I actually, I give you some tools to help you get organized and to help you be able to do all of these things. And I'd love to have a conversation with anyone that says multitasking isn't possible, because I've run scenarios with different teams on how to do that. And we actually give you the tools to have those things in place so that if you don't feel like you're a multitasker, that's fine. Here's some tools to help you stay organized while all of these different things are happening. And not every single session feels like you are on a TV show, like a producer of a TV show. Not every single session is like that. And what I do is I help you realize in the discovery meeting what questions you need to ask in order to know if it's a good fit. Right. And so sometimes
Exactly.
I can be working with a client and then I think to myself, ooh, I am not qualified for this. I'm going to send this to Muddy or Brian or Lauren or one of our experts who can put together a team. And I've even put together teams and train them so that we can support some of these bigger, more complicated sessions. But I also believe that every meeting needs a tech host, even the smallest meeting. And even if you're in a small group situation, like if you work remotely and you maybe have only 4 or 5 people on the team, there's nothing wrong for everyone on that team to be trained as a tech host because it helps you work more collaboratively and efficiently. Yeah. So, okay, I'll get off my soapbox. You just inspired me so much about tech hosting. So, I want to ask you a final question, Tina. What advice would you have for those challenged with online sessions who might be considering adding tech hosting skills to their toolbox? As if anything you've already said, didn't hit
Isn't
home with
enough,
them.
just my pure enthusiasm for it.
Right, exactly.
Well, I guess I would be a little corny and say it's kind of like broccoli. Try it. You might like it. It's good for you. But we can all improve our current skills. I would say at this point in time, many of us are used to online meetings. However, how to prepare for, craft for, plan for, be set up to do it really well and successfully, this project, the Tech Host Academy, really walks you through so many different aspects of it. It's just going to reinforce the skills you have, it's going to add to those and give you the skills to really feel confident going forward. And maybe you're using it in your work setting, maybe you're using it at your kids' school, maybe you're using it with a hobby or craft group that you're involved with. It's a great set of skills to have. It's always changing and growing, and it really transfers into other parts of life. So it's like, don't be intimidated, don't be scared, don't overthink it. Just start and try it. And it's amazing how many questions you might have had. Like, how did they do that? How did they turn on those closed captions? Suddenly, you get a peek behind the curtain, and you have Heather's not only her wisdom, but her kind and gentle hand guiding you through the process to really learn. And there are reflective times along the way, so you can really check in with yourself. Is this working for me? What do I enjoy? What are my learning edges that I need to work on? It's just dive in and go. You won't regret it.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I've had the distinct pleasure of tech hosting with you on some of these bigger projects and watching you tech host either for me or for other people. And I just have to say, you're one of my favorites. So if someone wanted to hire you as a tech host, Tina, how can they reach you?
They could look me up on Instagram or Facebook, or I will give Heather my email. Reach out. I'm happy to chat with you and see if it might be a fit. If it's not, I'm happy to make recommendations, but it's all about setting you up to succeed and have a great event.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tina. I'm so happy that
Thanks,
you
Heather.
agreed to let me ask you all these pressing questions about
Oh, I
being a
love
tech
it.
host.
It's great, and I love to be able to help and support meetings. So it's a great opportunity to really level. I mean, bring your skills up through Tech Host Academy.
Thank you.
Thanks.